Hello everyone. Let's check out the anime Memoirs of Vanitas. The first series begins with a backstory. A long time ago, there lived a vampire named Vanitas, and he was an outcast among his tribesmen. And the thing is that he was not lucky enough to be born on the night of the blue moon, when all the other bloodsuckers were born during the blood red moon, and it was considered a bad omen. As a result, a small and offended guy promised to take revenge on his relatives and create a book that would destroy their entire family, and since then every vampire on Earth I knew the name of Vanitas. Well, after the prehistory, we are transferred to the present. A tall, blonde man named Noah is walking around the airship and bumps into a girl, Amelia Root, who tells about the goals of her journey to visit a doctor who will help get rid of the ill-fated disease. But the goal of our blonde is to find the very book of Vanitas with such a task set by the teacher. The dude went to Paris. That's just that he did not expect that he would find his prey on the first day of the trip, because as soon as the girls get even worse, some strange guy rolls up to her and tries to kill her, but it seems so only at first glance. No, fights back against his opponent, dodging all his attacks, and have time to apply his own, changing the essence, and by increasing his physical strength, the blonde vampire manages to temporarily stop the enemy and figure out what the hell is going on here. But so far, for the first time, we are presented with the main villain of the first season, a charlatan, an unknown entity that takes the vampire's real name and creates insane monsters out of them. And Noah becomes the first victim of the transformed Amelie because of the bite. He is not even able to cope with the enemy whose goal is to destroy absolutely everyone in the neighborhood. So Blue-Eyed comes to his aid and presents the very book about which legends are made up. With her help, the main character manages to save the girl from the disease by returning her real name because of the police who arrive. The guys have to run away and Noah goes with them, who becomes interested in this whole situation. Blue-Eyed Vanitas appears to be an ordinary person who inherited the book and the name from the Blue Moon vampire himself. But apart from the goal, because he does not want to kill anyone, his task is to save all bloodsuckers from the disease and find the cause of the spread of this infection. This event becomes the starting point in the journey of the two main characters. Vanitas and Noah, the task of the first is clear, but the task of the second is reduced to study the book. And after 10 hours of real time, the guys get behind bars in an ordinary prison from which they are rescued by a Parisian count who is guarded by two vampires. The essence of what a bloodsucker has long been forbidden to kill ordinary people, and you can only drink blood by mutual consent. However, in this universe, there is also an additional world, the so-called Underside, where only vampires live. The Count's task is to control the situation in the real world and not allow any violations, but still, one appeared on his way. An infected bloodsucker has been operating in the city for several days now, devouring people and cannot control himself, of course. In the supernatural, no one believes in the treatment of Vanitas, so they agree to use his services only on one condition. The main characters will find the goal, bring the Count, and show exactly how his book works. And all this time, they will be followed in general. The guys are satisfied with this situation, and they go in search of their goal along the way, using the services of a bloodhound named Dante. He indicates the location of the killer, and in just a few minutes, the heroes immobilize the monster. Then meet the executioner, Lord Rutwin, and the young prince named Luca. He demands Vanitas to give, not resorting to harsh methods using his assistant, who in the past was considered one of the most powerful vampires. She uses her mechanized executioner's hand and attacks the guys. Of course they manage to survive, hide, and come up with a plan. It consists in deceiving Jean before the fear of the vampire blue moons. Vanitas distracts her and forces the enlarged monster to temporarily immobilize the opponent, and then releases him, giving the assistant Canto to contemplate in all its glory the healing properties of the book. And from that moment, a romantic branch begins between the Blue-Eyed and the executioner. He confesses his love to the girl and even kisses her. It is clear that all sorts of beaux of Noah and Dante do not understand what is happening here at all, but their lovemaking has to be stopped because after the bite of the infected vampire, the forces left, and together with the young prince, they have to retreat, and Vanitas and Noah report to the customer based on the conversation. It becomes clear that the blonde is called archivists, That is, the dude who, after absorbing blood, is able to read memories. That's what he does with Amelia Ruth, once again convinces Vanitas of the existence of a charlatan. And then introduces us to his betrothed Dominique, a vampire from the highest circles, and without any problems, he takes his pet with him to the ball in another dimension. Of course, Blue-Eyed follows them, and together they get to an alternative Paris there. A passionate kiss takes place between Noah and Dominique, which the vampires distort by sucking blood. Well, then the trio goes to a masquerade where the archivist confronts Luca, and Dominica tortures Vanitas in order to find out the whole truth. She does not understand why the follower of the Blue Moon vampire saves everyone, when on the contrary he should hate. But you know, Vanitas has motive, about which he does not want to share the truth with anyone for the time being. Therefore, taking advantage of the situation, the kid announces his wishes to all the vampires present in the hall. Then, of course, they do not believe in his words and even try to kill. However, Jean, who was hurt by the last kiss with the main character, saves him, and then we encounter a charlatan and his henchmen who kill Luke's guards and engage in battle with Noah. But he has enough ability to temporarily stop the enemy. And then the creature itself comes on the scene to take the real name of the blonde. But before doing this, it forces the guy to remember his past, plunge into the abyss of despair and fear. A long time ago, when Noah first settled with his teacher and part-time grandfather Dominique and her brother Louis, he had to live with the last two, but not just live to share absolutely everything. Food, thoughts, and even desires. The archivist became so attached to LA that he was not ready to lose him, and now comes the moment when it becomes known that the older brother was found to have a vampire ailment. That is, very soon he will go crazy and kill. Noah tries his best to help, but still becomes a witness to his madness. Fortunately, the teacher who arrived on time saves his ward, but this whole situation leaves a deep trauma for the rest of his life, and at this time, Vanitas again retires with Jean, and she decides to drink his blood for the first time in the whole season, after which the girl regains self-confidence and goes to a masquerade to stop the invasion of the charlatan. By the way, most of the vampires manage to claim here, so the main character has to fend them off, return the names with the help of a book about some even kill. And you know how Dominique's older sister and part-time member of the Queen's Fangs, that is, the most powerful vampires on Earth, responds to the help of the main characters, tries to kill them. There is no way to thank like all bloodsuckers. She can also distort reality. Her ability is to freeze everything she touches and looks at. In general, the main characters find themselves at a disadvantage, and Lord Ruthven comes to their aid. The man stops Victoria with just one action and invites guests to relax at his estate. He is interested in all the details concerning the Book of Vanitas, and why the Faithless, that is. No, Oz. Teacher sent his ward in search of a follower of the Blue Moon. Episode 7 plunges us into a romantic relationship between Vanya Zananoa and Dominica. The first two lovebirds retire again and enjoy each other. The second are also not averse to drinking blood. Here, by the way, the archivist's indifference to Vanitas is shown for the first time. He wanted to be the first to taste the blood of the main character, and therefore feelings of jealousy awakened in him, although his ardor cools Dominic, and that's the end of it. But after a short rest, the guys go to Lord Ruthven's office to discuss the situation in the world. It turns out that the charlatan attacked the vampires for one purpose, the murder of Luke, because he is the only heir to the Queen, and the one who will have to ascend to the throne very soon. Oh yes, based on the conversation, it becomes clear that the Queen in the alternative world is already dying and has not been born for a long time. Only a few people know about it, including Ruthven. Of course, Vanitas will also find out by manipulation, so he and Noah are expelled from the vampire world and sent back to the human world there. They report everything to the Count and get a new one. The task is to find a person who has already kidnapped several bloodsuckers in recent days. To do this, the guys go to the hunter's lair, get special clothes for themselves, and stumble upon the captain of the Paladin of the Church of Roulan inside the catacombs. Here at first he behaves calmly, does not stand out, and even communicates with the main characters in a friendly way. But then, having put Vanka behind bars, he arranges a fight with Noah and calmly confronts him. And this despite the fact that a vampire is able to distort reality to increase his strength and speed. The result of the battle leads to the escape of friends and finding temporary shelter, but it still does not help them escape from the hunter. Roland finds the heroes and is already trying to kill them, and then takes a minute and listens to Vanitas' story. He claims that a mad scientist named Moreau is back in Paris, and it is he who kidnaps vampires to put experiments on them, by the way. Blue-Eyed was also his test subject earlier, but was saved together with his childhood friend, the Vampire of the Blue Moon, who began to take care of children and even endowed a piece of his power in general. The charlatan covers the stamps and helps him to put experiments on vampires. Therefore, the hunter Vanitas and Noah have to stop him. But in order for the plot to move on, and the answers to the most important questions remain for the second season, we are offered to enjoy the battle with the dark creature. A couple of heroes have to risk going inside the monster and use the book to return the real name of the bloodsucker inside, thereby destroying the enemy from this moment. Roland begins to doubt in the evil essence of the Red Eyes. Therefore, he goes into studying their history and also tells his friend named Olivier about this situation. Well, at the end of the season, it becomes clear that Lord Ruthven is working together with the charlatan, helping him to complete tasks. But that's just what. We can find out the answer to this question in the sequel released at the beginning of last year, but in order to leave the affair, we are presented with a new villain in the form of a huge dog, briefly introduced to the characters of the next season. And again, they let you enjoy the love relationship between Vanitas and Jean. And after the credits, another villain is shown who is able to communicate with Nania in a friendly way. In fact, I even really liked this anime format. There is no main character who easily destroys enemies. He does not even surpass them in strength. On the contrary, they often get in the face. However, this still does not prevent him from keeping a cool mind and being confident in his actions. And of course, all his actions leave questions about why and why he does it, what goals he really pursues, because an ordinary person can't devote his whole life to saving vampires. In short, I recommend watching it, but it's only worth considering the fact that some moments may seem vanilla because there is no cruelty here, which is, for example, in other anime. Oh yes, it seems to me that 12 episodes are not enough to reveal all the details, because the place of a detailed explanation of any events is already being transferred to the next ones. Sometimes it is difficult to realize what exactly happened now. In the meantime, you think the series is already telling you a new story, but I think it won't spoil the viewing experience much, and you should reconsider some points. Well, that's it for now.